Hello, I'm going to explain some important things to be considered while thinking about performing the CASC exam. First of all, usually there are frank tasks that are written in the brief, but in some circumstances there are some other tasks you have to do and you should be aware about them. In the coming videos, you will find full details about this point. Second thing, instead of dealing with each station in the CASC individually, you can depend on general structures for different types of stations. I mean, if you have a general structure for risk assessment stations, with repeating this general structure every time you are doing any risk assessment station, you will find that about 10 to 12 stations, you can do all of them just by knowing the idea of all of them. And this will save your time, and also by repeating doing all these stations while keeping the items included in their place without changing them every now and then. This will help you to emphasize in your performance and also to remember those items easily on the day of the exam. And in the coming videos, you will find that there is a general structure for history taking stations, for mental state examination, for capacity assessment, and for risk assessment. And this will save your time and efforts and will improve your performance. While explaining the individual stations in the CASC, you will find that I am trying to explain each station from three different perspectives. The perspective of the candidate, what you have to do and how to do it to pass that station, what is the subjective experience of the patient, and what sort of feelings and thoughts he has while sitting in front of you, and also the third perspective, I mean the expectations of the examiner who is observing you while doing that station. And I'll try to show you how not only to meet expectations of your examiner, but to exceed them whenever possible. And it's very important to be aware about the design of different stations. Some stations are just combination of 2 or 3 stations in only one, and this needs you to be aware when to stop. Let me give you some examples. The station of alcohol with mood disorder or alcohol with panic disorder. It's just a combination of 2 different stations. We all know that there is a station of history taking of panic disorder alone, and also another station of alcohol dependence. But that station of the relationship between panic disorder and alcohol dependence, you need only to ask about part of the history of panic disorder, just core symptoms and impact and coping, and no need to ask about comorbidities or risk or past history of panic disorder. And ignoring those 3 items is essential to save time to ask about the current and longitudinal history of alcohol drinking and to check presence of dependence syndrome. And in the last minute in that station, you need to determine the link between the 2 disorders, which one started first and which one came as a result to the first. And a more interesting station is delirium tremens, which is nothing but combination of 3 stations. We all know that we have a station of many mental state examination and also another station for mental state examination of psychotic patient and history taking of alcohol. In that station of delirium tremens, over 7 minutes, you need only to assess presence of psychotic features, and then you need to assess the first part of many mental state examination. I mean patient's orientation to time, person, and place, and to assess his ability to register and recall. And also during the station, you can comment on his concentration, that it's difficult for him to follow you. For example, if the patient in the middle of the station told you, "Who are you?" although you have introduced yourself to him at the beginning of the station, it's not enough to remind him with your name, but you need to pick up this cue and to tell him, "It seems that you have forgotten my name, and it seems that your memory and concentration are not fine at the moment." Once you assessed the orientation and registration and recall of information, here you can transfer to the third and last part of that station. I mean, to take a history of current and longitudinal use of alcohol, and that the patient received his last drink just before coming to the hospital. Because as we all know that delirium tremens is just a state of withdrawal of alcohol. As a general rule, don't appear checklisty and don't appear that you are having a checklist. But in some stations, like prognostic factors of anorexia nervosa or interpersonal therapy, it's important to have specific checklist to check presence of its items with the patient, because those items will determine the prognosis of the patient with anorexia nervosa and the suitability of the patient to receive interpersonal therapy. But I don't mean at all to be checklisty in your performance. I mean you can have a checklist to ask the patient about, but your attitude and performance should be reactive and in two-way communication style. Another important thing is to deal with the stations as a clinician, not as just a candidate. One example that can clarify this very well is the station of urine drug screen. In this station, in reality, if you are going to ask someone who is refusing to give urine sample for urine drug screening, you can find that he has only one concern, and by addressing this concern in 2 or 3 minutes maximum, he can agree. So this attitude should be present while doing this station in the CASC exam. I mean, don't assume that the patient has all the information present in the scenario that everyone knows from notes of previous exams. If you are a true clinician, you are dealing only with the information given by the patient, and you are not aware about the hidden information that he didn't mention yet. So be curious, and once you addressed his first concern, ask him, so after informing you, Mr. John, that the police will not be involved, will this encourage you to provide us with the urine sample we need? And see what he will say. If he's convinced now to give the urine sample, and be ready to close the station if he told you that he is agreeing because this is your task. I hope that I clarified this well to all of you. Be sure 100% of the fairness of the examiners. All the time since I started preparing for the exam, I kept believing in the fairness of the examiners, and this helped me to find out my weakness points and to work on them till passing the exam at the end. Suspecting the fairness of the examiners means that whatever you will do, you can fail at the end, and this is not true, because once you reach it, the performance that fulfill the minimal requirements to pass the CASC exam, definitely you will pass it. So it depends on you and on your performance, not about the preferences or bias of examiners. It's of great importance to have two complementary concepts. The first one is that to pass any single CASC station, it's needed by the examiner to pass you in it. And the second step, by comparing your performance with the performance of all other candidates who performed at the same station on that day of the exam, the Royal College need to find you were one of the best candidates who did that station on that day. So you need to do all your best in every station in the CASC exam. But on the other hand, the second concept, which completes the first one, there is no predetermined quota or percentage or number of the candidates who will pass any individual station in any day of the exam. I mean, the one who will determine who will pass and who will fail is the candidates themselves. To summarize this, don't worry about competition with other candidates. Just try to do your best and try to understand your task in each station and try to perform it very well. And this will be sufficient to pass the CASC exam. And there is another important thing. While doing any CASC exam station, if you found yourself doing it very bad, and if you are 100% sure that definitely you will never pass it, don't surrender or don't be frustrated because of this. Just try to do your best in the rest of the station. Be relaxed, don't appear frustrated or hesitated or anxious, and try to do what you know in the rest of the station. Because even those stations that you will fail, their marks will be involved in the assessment of your performance. And some candidates missed passing the exam by only 0 point something. And if you need 0 point something to pass the exam, it doesn't matter if it will be in a station that you will pass or in the station that you will fail. So from the first second in the exam till its end, try all the time to do your best and never give up, and didn't assume that you will fail the exam. And keep in your mind, even the stations that you fail can participate in your success in the whole exam just by doing something better in them. And for those who tried CASC exam in the past and who failed it, just deal with all your previous attempts regardless their number as just paid training courses, and try to deal with your next attempt as the first real CASC exam. This will be helpful to alleviate frustration. And for the same group of candidates, put on your mind, your score on your last attempt is very, very important to indicate nothing Let me tell you about real candidates who already passed the exam and their last 3 attempts. The first one is a candidate. In his last 3 attempts, he passed 13 stations and he missed succeeding the exam by only 0.3%. And in his next attempt, he passed only 7 stations, and in his third and last trial, he passed 13 stations and scored 6% more than the pass mark needed to pass the exam. This is the first candidate. The second one, after passing 11 stations and exceeding the score needed to pass the exam by 4%, and in his next attempt, he passed only 6 stations, and in his last attempt, he passed 13 stations and exceeded the pass mark with 1.5 marks. And as you see, passing 13 stations after passing only 6 or 7 stations is not too difficult. And even if you passed a number lesser than 7 or 6, don't worry, because as I mentioned earlier, your result in your last attempt is an indication of nothing. It's all about your performance on the day of the exam, not on the past.